practical, project-heavy based learning, deep immersions, and humanities. As promised, our open online courses focusing on innovation essentials have been launched this quarter as they go live today. The duration of these certificate courses will range from 1 month to 9 months, in addition to our full time 1 year campus based course. Do visit our website for further details. Moving on to today's session, we now welcome our guest speaker, innovation practitioner, Mr. Vamshi Guntha, founder and CEO, Propel Inventions, a strategic growth and digital innovation firm. During his 20-year career, he delivered value at Fortune 500 companies in the US, UK, and India, and led teams on vision building, business strategy, digital strategy, product innovation, GTM, customer experience, and digital transformation initiatives. He led innovation labs and orchestrated interdisciplinary teams from research to converting insights into compelling business models, innovations, and experiences. He has a strong business acumen, and his expertise lies in strategy, customer experience, innovation, and human centric solution designing. Vamshi implemented design thinking on several initiatives across the globe to solve complex business problems and evangelized digital thinking and design thinking with over 1400 plus professionals as a speaker at TiECon, NHRD, PwC, etc. Vamshi successfully completed human-centered design certification, leadership and management certifications from Harvard, and creativity and entrepreneurship certifications from Stanford. The launch series will feature several industry thought leaders who are now a part of the global MIT ID innovation ecosystem. Please do read the chat for other important pointers being shared. We now invite Associate Professor Harshit Desai, Director MIT ID Innovation, to say a few words. He is an industry professional who has spent a decade plus in the higher education domain. He is a faculty at MIT ID and is currently pursuing his PhD. He is deeply immersed in building India's foremost innovation education practice in collaboration with fellow industry leaders. Over to you, Professor Desai.
Good morning, Priya. Good morning, Vamsi. Thanks for the warm introduction. And I think in today's world, there can't be a more important topic than digital, right? And uh, I think the core purpose of this module and the masterclass that we are putting together is while there is a lot of buzz on digital transformation, but as a strategy, I think what needs to be adopted is this whole mindset. So it's not so much so about technologies and the 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 things that we often hear under the name of digital transformation, but essentially it's an approach that organizations need to adopt more and more, because the entire economy and the way things are moving, that mind shift is so critical that we need to start looking at things from the digital first perspective. And I think that's the whole crux of what we are going to do today, and that's where we have built the course also around it. And no other better person than Vamsi, because he has been through that entire journey of making organizations adopt this mindset. So as we say in innovation also, that it all starts in the mind, that if I am having that approach and the mindset of looking at things in a particular way, then the other things fall in place. And I think that's something which we would like to discuss today, and probably open up few topics which will form the crux of the modules that we are going to cover in the masterclass. So Vamsi, thanks for helping us to put together this, because as MIT ID Innovation, we have always believed that the industry and academia partnership is what is the future of learning. Means gone are the times when we will just be sitting in classrooms and learning something which is outdated. It all has to be very practice based, and hence a practitioner view of things is going to be a critical component of all the learning mechanisms that we'll have in future. And obviously this is going to be digital, so the course itself is an online course, and we are adopting a digital first approach there as well. And uh, depending on how the time spans, I think we will also be able to have an offline version of this, but as a mindset we will always treat this to be a digital first course. So yeah, over to you, and thanks for joining in and helping us take this step forward in the whole world of digital first organizations. Thanks.
Great. Thanks so much for your kind words, Harshit and Priya. Good morning, everyone. Like Harshit mentioned, every organization should start thinking about becoming a tech company. They should adopt a digital first approach if only they wanted to continue to be relevant. Before we take a deeper dive into the digital first, let's talk about why digital first and why now is the time to start thinking of becoming a digital first organization. So to understand that, let us reel back, 100 years from now to really focus on how the evolution has happened over a period of time, right? So back in the 1900s, when manufacturing, was happening, whoever was able to crack the code of manufacturing faster, cheaper, better, they pretty much own the market. And these products have started becoming popular, and people from different parts of the world wanted to have their hands onto these products. So whoever cracked the distribution, they were able to own the market. That was in around the 1960s. In the 1990s, something magical has happened. It was the birth of internet, where information was getting commoditized, and whoever was able to commoditize that information was able to own the market. For example, Google was one of the early movers. They were able to provide that access to the information to people across the globe. Now, pretty much everything was getting commoditized: products, services, information. Now, if everything is getting commoditized, the only way that you will be able to differentiate is through experience. And that led to the birth of the age of experience. There's quite a few interesting things that happen in the age of experience. First and foremost is the smartphone adoption will go over the roof by the year. Just in India, the prediction is that about 820 million smartphone users will be there in India by the end of next year. And with more and more smartphone adoption, what is going to happen is the switching cost will eventually become low. If the switching costs are getting low, and the loyalty from a customer standpoint will be less. So the only way for companies to differentiate by themselves from the competition is through providing a differentiated experiences and differentiated services. So this is what is extremely critical. Now, what is happening is, the digital adoption has gone up, and the pandemic last year has only accelerated that pace. In nutshell, if the need for organizations to adopt digital was ever in question, the 2020 events have decisively ended the debate. Every company, irrespective of the industry, irrespective of the service that they're providing, must start to think like a tech company, only if they wanted to stay relevant and stay ahead of the competition. And many companies have already done that. In fact, Satya Nadella from Microsoft has recently shared a statistics that we are witnessing 10 years worth of digital transformation and digital adoption in just a few months. All these will underscore the need to adopt and be digital first. So let me ask you a couple of questions, before even I talk about what exactly digital first is, so that you get a flavor of how a digital first organization functions. So the first question, the first question is, which of the below organizations are adopting digital the fastest? Is it Swiggy, or is it Lifestyle, which is a fashion retailer, or it is government, any government? So share your thoughts just by putting a number, either 1, 2, or 3. To the extent that you have experiences around interacting with these entities, who do you think is adopting digital the fastest? Let's hear like a quick 30 seconds and hear out from the audience. Again, there is no right or wrong answer, so please feel free to share your perspective. Okay, let's wait for another 15 seconds. Okay, I see that there was a mix of responses, but the overwhelming audience shared it is Swiggy. Let me talk about why in just a minute. The second question I have is, let's say Swiggy, in Swiggy's case, how fast do you think they launch the digital products and services? Option A is 1 or 2 years. Option B is 2 to 6 months. Option C is 8 to 12 weeks. Just type in A, B, or C in case of Swiggy. Again, there is no right or wrong answer. Just share your perspective in terms of how fast they would be delivering the products and services. Yeah, I see quite a few people selecting C. So you get the idea, right? What does it mean to be digital first? Digital first organizations leverage technology to serve their customers better, and they are fast to the market. But the prospect of being digital, it's sometimes confusing and it might be a little daunting as well. So for me, if you ask what a digital first organization does, is it's a set of practices and behaviors and approach frameworks that help in unlocking the possibilities with digital. So these behaviors could be having a digital mindset, or fast is a new normal for them, or they focus on customer centricity like maniacs, and they are extremely data driven. There are many more. I'll touch upon some of these in the next few slides. It's not just for Swiggies of the world, or for that matter, even any kind of digital natives like startups. It's not only for them that digital first is a mechanism only for startups. It's also possible for every organization to become digital first. It's entirely possible for traditional companies, brick and mortars, or even for that matter, paper-based organizations to start embracing digital with this set of behaviors, practices, and approach frameworks, and be digital first. Now, before I move further along, I wanted to get a clear understanding of what exactly digital means from the audience. Now, in my experience, when I provided consulting in the US, in the UK, and India, when I asked 10 executives what does digital really mean for them, I get 10 different answers. So let's get this straight before we move further along. What comes to your mind when you think about digital? It can be a word, it can be a technology. Again, there is no right or wrong answer. Just speak your mind. Just type up the whatever word comes to your mind when you think about digital. Please type your thoughts in the chat. It's interesting. I see ease of doing work. Cool. None of the audience have stated anything about any technology, which is quite interesting. It's quite the contrary when I spoke to the executives. Perhaps that was like a few years before in the US. And at least right now, When I interact with my clients, they speak about ease of doing work, speed, reducing manual work to more digital work. So I'll share with you some of the examples that I heard. When I talk about digital, people usually say that I have an app, or I have an online presence, I have a Zoom account, or I have an online shop. So that those don't necessarily mean digital. In fact, MIT Sloan School's principal research scientist, Dr. Jian, coined an acronym for digital after social, mobile, AI, analytics, cloud, IoT. So it's an acronym which means smacking it. The reason why she said smacking it is when social was new, every executive was running, most of the executives were running towards, hey, what is our social strategy? When mobile was launched, when mobile took over the world, most executives were talking about what should be our mobile strategy. Executives were running from pillar to post to define their strategy whenever there is a new technology that is launched. But should it be like that? I feel it's definitely not, it should not be the case. So for me, what does digital really mean is it can be anything, but it can be any technology, but it's more of an enabler to achieve the business strategy and the core purpose. Becoming digital first organization requires a new way of thinking, a different orientation, and a thoughts and a mindset. It's basically means reconsidering every aspect of your business, right from defining the experiences that you deliver to the customer, to as simple of a task that your employees are doing on a day in, day out, to reimagining the structure of the organization so that you can deliver fast, all in pursuit to achieve the bigger purpose of the organization. And digital first strategy involves leveraging technology. It's not necessarily driven by technology. And I wanted to pass for a quick moment there because these are very, very critical. I see that the outcomes have been defined by the audience, but it's more of an enabler. That's the orientation that we need to have, an enabler to achieve a business strategy and the core purpose. Perhaps ease of doing work could be directly related to achieving the core purpose. But having clarity on the core purpose and defining business strategy to achieve that core purpose and how you leverage digital technologies is what the true meaning of digital, according to me. In fact, MIT Center for Digital Business has spent over a decade analyzing medium-sized businesses as well as large businesses for basically trying to understand how digital has been used by these digital-first organizations. And what they have told is very interesting. Digital has been used broadly for three areas. Number one is generating new revenue streams by creating digital business models. Number two is reimagining the customer experience to create the differentiated experiences. And number three, it's all about productivity, employee productivity, and how we can enable them to do more for less. Now, let's pick an example to see all of this in action. And I wanted to pick up an example of planet's most disruptive company, which is Amazon. The real purpose of why Amazon exists is it wants to become Earth's most customer-centric company. While Blue Horizon is gaining traction in space exploration, which is one of the sister concern companies of Amazon, I think this statement would eventually change to universe's most customer-centric company. Now, I wanted to share one of the interesting interactions that Jeff Bezos from Amazon had with a reporter. Now, during an interview, a reporter asked Jeff Bezos, about what kind of technologies would they be focusing 10 years from now. Now, Jeff stated that he does not want to waste his time focusing on the next emerging technology, knowing that the technology is going to be outdated pretty soon. Rather, jokingly what he told is he wants to focus on things that remain constant even 10 years from now. And there are only three of them. It's quite interesting and surprising that company like Amazon has just three focus areas. Number one, they want to deliver Earth's biggest selection of products and services. Number two, they want to make it so simple and easy for the customer to shop and deliver it really fast. And they wanted to offer most competitive prices. Now, just like the way Amazon is focusing on these three things, which will never change, every organization will be having a purpose of why they exist. I feel that every organization, just like us humans, has a soul. And the strategic initiatives that they would be focusing on should be aligned to achieve the bigger purpose. Now, what Amazon does is something very interesting. In order to deliver on these three focus areas, they leverage technology, which is emerging technology, and then keep track of new possibilities to unlock whatever is possible with the latest and greatest of the technology. Let's take a look at some of the examples of the digital innovations. The first one is buy now with one click. We all know that we have this feature, but if this feature weren't there, the experience that the customers would be having is they have to add a product, they have to put it in a cart, they have to go through the steps in the cart, which is delivery address, payment, etc. And then they have to click the buy button. So what Amazon thought is there are certain frictions that can be removed by this innovation, which they patented it, which is just with one click, they can place the order. But even for that, you have to take out your smartphone, open the app, and then you have to, do one click. They innovated something called dash button. A dash button is nothing but a simple IoT device which has Bluetooth technology to communicate to the app on your smartphone. The way it works is, let's say, for example, and this can be used for consumables. Let's say, for example, you have a detergent and you are putting the clothes and you realize that your detergent is coming to an end, right? So because of this dash button, which would be stick right next to the consumable detergent, you just click that button and that button sends the message to the app on your smartphone through Bluetooth and the order is placed. So basically, you don't have to take your smartphone or you don't have to go to the desktop. First of all, you have to remember and then go to the desktop and then place the order. All of that frictions are removed with this dash button. But again, you have to lift your hand and then press the button, right? So even that, Amazon has tried to remove that friction through Amazon Echo and Echo Dot, plus many other suite of devices using Alexa voice assistant. But not just that, they are also focusing on drone delivery. In fact, one of the patents that they filed in the recent few years is to create an aerial fulfillment center, where this aerial fulfillment center will be roaming around in busy cities, and these drones would pick up the orders and deliver it maybe at your doorstep or at the window. So they just go crazy in terms of adopting new digital technology to achieve this, address this focus area, and to eventually achieve the core purpose of why Amazon exists. And this is very interesting. I feel that they would be, focusing on a technology which is brain-computer interface, which where you don't even have to say a command. You just have to think, and the order is automatically placed. And if you are an impulsive buyer, just watch out before you activate this feature. So like this, digital has been used also for reimagining the business models through Amazon Prime, Amazon Marketplace, and Fulfillment by Amazon. And in fact, when it comes to the fulfillment centers, right now, I think the generation that Amazon's fulfillment centers is 21st generation. And over a period of time, they have evolved from the first generation to the 21st with state-of-the-art digital technologies, with robots, autonomous robots, with artificial intelligence. All of that is to focus on increasing employee productivity. So just to reiterate, the three areas that digital was used is to introduce new business models, new revenue streams. In this case, it was Amazon Prime, Fulfillment by Amazon. reimagine the customer experience. You have a handful of innovations and they keep innovating, and increase productivity, which is basically through the fulfillment center, bringing autonomous robots, AI, etc. So, you get the idea, right? So it starts with the bigger purpose of why an organization exists. What should be the focus areas? In case of Amazon, it is these three. Again, they say that, customer would never come back to me 10 years from now that, hey, Jeff, I love you so much. Why don't you increase the prices? That's never going to happen. Or Jeff, I love you so much. You make it hard for me to place the order on Amazon. That is never going to happen. So similarly, every organization should identify focus areas or strategic areas which would remain constant maybe 2 years from now, maybe 3 years from now. And then once those strategic focus areas are clear, you leverage emerging technology, latest and greatest technology, to innovate the heck out of and deliver on those strategic focus areas and ultimately achieve the bigger purpose. And that's how digital first organizations function, right? So moving on, now that we understood where digital first organizations and focus on creating those digital initiatives, let's talk about how do these digital first organizations deliver the magic. And to that end, what I wanted to touch upon is three areas which is going to articulate the how of it. The first and foremost is leading with empathy. This is where human-centered design principles, design thinking will come into play. And these principles and practices frameworks will help us uncover the unmet and unarticulated needs of the end user. This is where you understand the user as a human being instead of considering them as a number on a P&L statement. You understand them as a human, and then you focus on uncovering what kind of problem statements, what kind of pain points do they have. Design delivers positive results. In my experience, I have seen clients delivering positive results once the solutions are launched. And in fact, as a matter of fact, McKinsey has done a study that design-led companies have fared 200% better than S&P 500 companies. And it goes without saying that design will deliver results. And once you understand the customer's unmet and unarticulated needs, their pain points, you basically focus on thinking what kind of emerging technologies can you bring in to define a solution concept where the problem statement is addressed very elegantly and beautifully, right? So this is where the human computer interaction will come into picture. This is where you marry business side of the story with digital, and having a digital mindset makes this very simple and easy, just like a walk in the park. Now once the digital product is launched, or maybe you're beta testing or you're doing a soft launch, what you need to do is you got to be like a data maniac. The beauty of digital is that it generates data, and the data can be good or bad data, doesn't matter. All what matters is how quickly are you able to analyze that data to assess the performance of digital interventions, and how quickly you can course correct so that you can continuously stay ahead of the curve. Now, this approach is called growth experiments. Companies like Facebook, at any given point in time, they have 10,000 different versions or different experiments that they would be running on Facebook. So, for example, the Facebook experience that I'll be having sitting in Bangalore would be different from the experience that somebody might be having in Pune, Mumbai, or for that matter in Seattle. Even Netflix does the same. They continuously run experiments, thousands and thousands of experiments. Airbnb, Flipkart, everybody do experiments. So what they do is they do a soft launch of the feature. They analyze the experience, and they continually evolve the product experience till they perfect it, or they meet the customer demands, or they set a new trend altogether. And this is extremely critical. You will be able to do that by having a robust data architecture and being data driven. Now I call these three as three Ds for digital innovation. The first D is design, the second D is digital, and the third D is data. And these three Ds are very important for us to determine how beautifully we can leverage digital to solve the unmet and unarticulated needs and deliver new revenue streams or reimagine customer experience or increase productivity of your employees. Now, this is the how. The second aspect to the how is the people and technology. See, technology, what I have experienced is microservices architecture would be able to help organizations build and launch digital solutions much faster. But again, technology capabilities, tech architecture, it's pretty unique for each organization. It varies based on the needs of each organization. So it's a complex topic. It's a topic for a different day. But what we'll focus on in this slide is the people aspect of it. So when it comes to people and the culture, we should have a culture of experimentation, and it is okay to fail. In fact, failures are celebrated, and failures are rewarded. And basically, you know how quickly you're able to leverage the learnings from failure and course correct. That is what is more appreciated. That is more on the culture side of it, and on the people side of it, people should imbibe a digital mindset, some customer centricity, and should have creative confidence. Now, once we have this kind of people, you create a pod model, which is, I call it as small teams, like small innovation pods, which can act fast and be nimble. And the typical size is 6 to 10 people, and in Amazon's parlance, it is called two pizza teams. Basically, how they thought through two pizza team is, if a team has the number of members that can be fed sufficiently with two pizzas, that is a decent size. Now, in other words, if you can't feed a team with two pizzas, it means that it is large. It means that it will lead to bureaucracy. It will lead to slowing things down. So you have a small set of people who are self-directed, autonomous. They can take the shots, they can take the calls, and define the approaches, rapidly solutionize, and do a soft launch, leverage the data, and course correct. And this is called a small innovation pod. The team should have engineers, designers, product managers, a combination of those skills with that orientation of digital mindset, customer centricity, and creative confidence in the culture of rapid experimentation. And this would be a perfect recipe to deliver the magic as a digital first organization. And these teams are decentralized. Okay. Now, we spoke about quite a few topics. A quick refresher: we spoke about purpose, the purpose of why an organization exists. We spoke about the strategic focus areas, initiatives to achieve the core purpose, and how you define initiatives to deliver on the core purpose and the focus areas, and how do you leverage digital technologies much faster. We also spoke about 3Ds for digital innovation, which is design, digital technology, emerging technology, and how you leverage data. And we also spoke about people, culture, what kind of culture would help people to do rapid experimentation, failure or celebrated, etc. Like this, there are many other techniques to become a digital first organization, many of which we plan to cover when we do our upcoming 6-week program. Now, it's a professional certification program on becoming digital first. The goal is to do a deeper dive into each of these techniques. There are many other techniques, for example, customer focused innovation, solutioning, rapid solutioning with digital ROI, storytelling, influence, etc. So all of these things would be taught in an experiential manner with real world examples, frameworks, and techniques. And what's unique about this program is that the participants will be able to bring one of their work related initiative. It could be any work related initiative that you guys are working on, or the audience would be planning to work on. If you don't have an initiative, totally fine. We'll form teams and you will be having an opportunity to implement practically whatever learning topics that you have heard during the classroom session on your respective work initiatives. And in addition to that, you will be able to get an opportunity to have a one-on-one to discuss about the challenges unique for your initiative with me, so that the guidance is highly customized, personalized, and you are making baby steps to make your organization digital first. And folks at MIT and I are looking forward to this session. With that, I'll open it up for Q&A. Have any questions? I'm happy to answer. Priya, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vamsi. I would like to know a bit about your educational journey and about your work journey, and exactly when did digital transformation really become a very critical part of your life?
Yeah. So it's quite interesting that you asked that. I was born and raised in India, but spent most of my career in the US. I moved to the US through Wipro Consulting. I was working on driving initiatives, global initiatives, but really focused on technology while being at Deloitte in the US. How technology powers the systems, helps the organization deliver on certain initiatives. And I was focusing on business advisory as well as strategic advisory while at Deloitte. And then I joined a company called Revel. And that's where I bumped into design thinking first. Revel is a digital transformation company, and they truly strongly believe that design is very important for any kind of digital transformation initiatives. So we had a cohort of people go to Stanford D School. We got trained, and it was more of a train the trainer model. I had opportunity to train 100 plus staff, not just at Revel, but also our clients like Microsoft, T-Mobile, FI Networks, etc. So that is where I learned about design thinking close to a decade before, and digital transformation. And I got so fascinated about leading with empathy that I was like a kid with a candy. I started implementing design thinking, leading with empathy in every facet of my life. I had opportunity to coach startup founders, help executives at the corporates, how they can imbibe creative confidence, how they can lead with empathy and use it for digital transformation. So that's how my journey has started, and I did not look back. I was continually focusing on digital transformation, digital mindset, what kind of digital strategy the clients should define, but ultimately with an objective of achieving the bigger purpose of why the organization exists. If there is no connection between that, digital becomes, for the sake of adding digital, you are just doing those initiatives.
Sure, sure. And what do you think would be an ideal team size when digital transformation should come into play? So like, be it, let's say, sole proprietorship firms, be it partnerships, be it budding startups, and then of course, all these scaling corporates. When do you think is the right time when an organization is scaling up that digital transformation should be brought in?
No, I feel that the perfect time is once you're clear about the purpose and the areas. That is a perfect time to bring digital transformation. As we look at the evolving customer behaviors, we need to really see how we are helping the customers and in a way achieving the bigger purpose. And once we're clear about that, it's just a matter of how you can bring different types of emerging technologies to serve the customer or improve productivity or reimagine customer experience.
Sure, sure. I'd also like to share with the audience that Vamsi, in fact, had a finance and a commerce background. And now he's entirely into innovation and technology. Vamsi, how's that journey been? So essentially, when somebody's listening into you, from a live audience perspective, and he or she is a CA, and then to know that, they can also sort of branch out into technology and innovation. So how has that shift kind of come about? How natural was it? And how can it really help? Means how having a background of finance and commerce also helps you in your way ahead as an entrepreneur?
So the way I would put it is, during my CA days, I had great opportunities to look at under the hood of how a large organization functions, right? So that is where I got introduced to the process, technology, and people aspect of the story. And after that, how I leverage the commerce and finance is to bring in that business perspective to digital transformation. um, there is a framework called desirability, feasibility, and viability. The viability is more around whether it is truly economical to actually launch the digital initiative. So that is where the finance, commerce, that background comes into picture. And that's where the business acumen that I developed over a period of time helps understanding, how can I bring the balance, and how can I influence people who have their hands on the wallet, like the CFOs. So a digital ROI is what every CFO would expect. CFO or CEO. We are investing so much on this. What's the ROI that we can expect? And there are certain standard, ROI numbers, which I have seen or experienced over a period of time. And with those numbers, with that orientation, I was able to influence and convince the executors.
Wonderful. Great. Then we also spoke about, right, in terms of, let's say, digital transformation. And I think more of it also being a mindset in a way. In your previous roles as founder and CEO of minipreneurs.org, and you've also, sort of been aligning yourself with kids. Can you sort of, share experiences about what it was and how early one should start and actually inculcate a digital first mindset? Or is it only relegated to, let's say, once you enter the workforce and then you, start planning accordingly?
No, actually, you brought up a very good point. In fact, I was just amazed when I was delivering some sessions at one of the leading high tech companies in the US. That I saw that the creative confidence, or fear of failure, there's people were just had a fear that hey, I don't want to experiment on this. If you actually contrast that to school going kids, they don't have fear of failure, they want to experiment. And something happens as they graduate, as they go to the corporate world, that they lose this creative confidence. And it dawned upon me that it's important to continue to inculcate that creative confidence, experimentation as the kids move along and join the corporate world. And that is how I thought about minipreneurs. Basically, it's like packaging whatever concepts, whatever frameworks I'm been teaching or practicing with my clients to become digital first. It's the same concepts that I made it kid friendly and created minipreneurs. In fact, minipreneurs has been awarded as the Oscars of education innovation by University of Pennsylvania, Wharton.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and we are very excited that there's recognition happening. This is the need of the hour, that kids should inculcate that digital mindset. Whenever they go through a problem, to solve something, they should have an orientation that this can be solvable, and this can be solvable elegantly with digital technologies. And that was a goal for minipreneurs, to imbibe that kind of orientation. And if once they make it second nature deep down, they will continue to have that mindset when they go to the corporate world or when they become entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs.
Okay, wonderful. Congratulations to that.
Thank you.
And what was the age range like that you started out with?
We started the sessions for as early as 7 years.
7 years upwards.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then now currently this particular program is more aligned towards what kind of age ranges?
We see what we did is to imbibe those kind of skills and those kind of orientation. What I've done is I have mapped like 45 plus life skills and 30 plus frameworks, techniques like creative confidence, rapid solutioning, all of that. or over a period of either it can be delivered in a day session, it can be delivered in a few month session, or it can be delivered over multiple years. So that is how it has been structured. In fact, Minipreneurs has been delivered at one of the leading international schools in Bangalore for a couple of years, and so that's how the curriculum has been structured.
Sure. My question was more towards that. What's the current age range is this professional certificate program that we are talking about in becoming a digital transformation? What is the ideal age range that you're looking at, and the work experience aspect
See,
of who should join in?
yeah, for this professional certification program, anyone who is aspiring to become a product manager or an entrepreneur, whoever is focusing on growth, strategy, or innovation, these are the ideal set of people who would benefit out of this program. And ideally, it'll be good to have at least a couple of years of experience, but it's fine to start afresh and get that orientation before they go to the corporate world and get boxed in that kind of thinking.
Sure, thank you. And how important would it be to focus upon, let's say, data and storytelling techniques within this particular program that you have curated?
Storytelling is extremely important. Even if you have the best idea and the best solution to address a problem, if you're not able to storytell that to the executives, they'll lose you. So storytelling has been defined as one of the important aspects of this curriculum. And how you storytell is using data. So you leverage data to tell a story by talking about the customer, and introduce the hero, which is the solution, and get a buy-in on the solution. So there is something called press releases or work backwards, which Amazon implements. We are bringing some of those elements into this curriculum, where the users will be asked to define a press release. The press release is something like a future state press release, like a cover story on business magazines, where you define the problem statement of the customer, you explain how your solution is going to elegantly solve the problem, and what kind of technologies have you used, and use that for convincing themselves first, and then to the executives.
Sure. Thank you so much. And so when people actually go ahead and enroll for this certification program, which starts on 3rd April, and of course they will be given an access to the learning management systems, how frequently is the interaction going to be between you, the instructor, and the cohort who is going to be undertaking the program?
So the sessions are planned once every Saturday. It's over a period of 6 weeks. And the way it would be structured is it's like a 2-hour session every Saturday. There'll be some pre-work that is expected of the audience. And during the session, we'll touch upon the learning topics through experiential manner with anecdotes, case studies, etc. And post the session, the users or the attendees will be expected to complete their assignments on their work-related initiative. If they don't have a work-related initiative, any kind of initiative, whatever they feel comfortable with, can be picked up. In addition to that, as I said, what we wanted to do is we wanted to provide that opportunity for the user to come back and interact with me. Or a one-on-one. Typically, what I've seen is during these kind of workshops or learning sessions, during the session, the audience tend to feel that I think it all makes sense. But once they go back to their desks and then start implementing those, that is where they go through the turf of disillusionment, and that is where they need the most support in terms of coaching and guidance. So a specific duration is allotted for each attendee to get the continued coaching and guidance during the 6 weeks and after 6 weeks.
Sure, thank you so much. And pretty much, so there is a question regarding what would be the price of the professional certificate program. The fees for the same.
Yeah. What we are thinking about is there is an early bird offer, and which is around 60K, and then the price is at 75K, right, Priya? That's what we are thinking about, right?
Sure. INR 75,000.
Yeah.
Yes. My last question for today is that, so you've been in the field of, again, digital transformation, and tell me, what do you foresee, let's say 10 years down the line? What are the kind of mega trends that you're able to kind of know about in this space?
Well, the mega trend that I feel is I feel that every organization will become a tech-driven organization, and that is going to be inevitable. Any organization that does not adopt technology will slowly be eclipsed. One small example that comes to my mind is, let's say, a service company that talks about compliance in general, right? Compliance of regulatory related aspects. Now, there are some digital technologies which is acting as a self-serve model to help the customers to understand what kind of regulatory compliances do they need to follow, and coupled with that there will be a marketplace. So if you don't adopt technology to create that for yourself, someone else will do that. So eventually, irrespective of the industry, irrespective of the company, that the kind of services or products that they're doing, if they don't adopt technology, it is going to be gloom and doom. But having said that, I think the trend is that many companies are focusing on recruiting tech talent, and LinkedIn has provided these statistics that the tech related hires are more in non-high-tech companies than the technology companies, which is a good sign if you ask me. But my only hope is that they are leveraging the technology resources that they are hiring in achieving the bigger purpose. If the connection is not established between what the technical resources are doing to the initiatives and the kind of technology that they are imbibing to achieve the bigger purpose, it will not make sense. I'm hoping that the organizations will do that.
Sure. Thank you so much. So with this, we come to the end of the the launch webinar. And for any more questions, to reach out to us offline on LinkedIn. Special thanks to Mr. Vamsi Gunta for his time and sharing value-add takeaways from his innovation journey. We recognize the need to reach out to thousands of aspiring innovators and help them gain the skills and knowledge required for their dreams to become a reality. We encourage you all to connect with us via our social channels. For those interested in becoming top-notch innovators, we invite you to explore our courses that will fast-track your career path. So log on to www.mitidinnovation.com to kickstart your innovation journey with MIT ID Innovation. Let's learn, innovate, lead. Yours innovatively, Priya Dhawan signing off. To everyone, stay connected, stay safe, and keep innovating every day. Thank you once again.